In this video I'm going to show you how to crochet a very simple hat, and this is the pattern that we're going to use. So go ahead and write this down, or if you're part of the Facebook group you can download it from there and print it out. But if you need to write it, go ahead and pause the video and write this down. It's very simple, and as soon as you're ready to begin, unpause and let's get started. Looking at the pattern, it says the first thing to do is to chain 5 and then slip stitch to form a ring. So here's what we do. Let's go ahead and make our slip knot. Chain 5 stitches as the pattern calls for. And then slip stitch to form a ring. So what this means is you take your chain that you just made, and normally to start a new row you would insert your hook in this first chain stitch right here. Well, to form a ring, you're actually going to put your hook in the very first stitch way over here, the one by your finger, the very first one that you made. So you put your hook in there, you yarn over, grab the yarn and pull through, and that leaves 2 loops on your hook. And you can see right here it makes a ring. You can see that hole right here. Let me see if I can show you that a little better, because the hole will be easy to lose, so you got to make sure you know which one you're looking for, and it's this one right here. That's the ring that we're going to be working with. So make sure you can see that hole, and it might be easier if you kind of hold it with your fingers like this to hold it open. Once you have the ring being held open, take your first loop and slide it through the second loop. Remember, that's called a slip stitch. You can look at your work and you can see that we now have a chain 5 ring. That's what that's called. There's your hole right in the middle of the ring. That's where your work is going to be done on the next round. So that completes round 1. Let's look at round 2. And it says to chain 3. So holding that hole open in the ring, let's go ahead and chain our 3 stitches. Okay, and then the next part says to do 13 double crochets in the ring. So inside the ring, which is the hole that we made right there, we're going to do 13 double crochets. You're going to do that like this. Yarn over, insert your hook through that hole in the middle. Yarn over and pull through. That leaves 3 loops on your hook. Complete the double crochet as you already know how. Yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Yarn over and pull through 2 loops. That makes a double crochet. So that's 1. Let's do 12 more. And you can see that we are inserting the hook inside that ring each time. So to complete the last one, yarn over, insert it through the ring, yarn over and pull it through the ring. 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over. So now we're at the end of the round 2. So at the end of each round you need to connect them together. And what I mean by that is right now we have an open double crochet that we just did, and this is where we started. So we've got to get this end connected to this end, and you do that by a simple slip stitch. Take your hook and insert it into this top stitch right here on the first round that you made. Slip stitch by yarning over and pulling through, and then pull this loop through the second loop. That's a slip stitch. That completes the round. Now you can see that there's still a pretty big hole there. If you take your tail yarn that you began with and kind of pull it, you'll see that it closes that hole up. And that's going to be the basis for your hat. We're going to begin with that. That completes round 1 and round 2. Let's take a look at round 3. The instructions say to begin by chaining 3. So let's go ahead and do our chain 3. And if you remember, that's going to count as our first double crochet. The next part of the instructions for round 3 says to do 2 double crochets in each stitch around. When it says each stitch around, what that means is the top stitch in each one is right here. You can see how it makes a little V shape. Well, the camera's not picking it up very well, but you can see it would go in there, and there, and there. Basically, it's at the top of each one of your double crochets that you did. So when it says to go into a stitch, it means to go into that top loop right there that you made by completing a double crochet at the top. So since we did 13 double crochets and a chain 3 in the previous round, that means we have 14 stitches to go into one for each double crochet, and remember that chain 3 counted as one. So we're working with a base of 14 double crochets, and we're going to work in the top of each one, which is the stitch all the way around. I hope that makes sense. If not, maybe you can see it clear enough on this video. Let's see what happens. So after I chain 3, we're going to do 2 double crochets in each stitch around. The first stitch is where you just completed this chain 3. So the first double crochet is going to go in the same place. So to double crochet, yarn over, insert your hook in the same stitch that that chain 3 comes from. Okay? Yarn over and pull through, complete your double crochet, and now you have 2 double crochets, basically. This is a chain 3, but it counts as a double crochet. You have 2 double crochets in this first stitch. So now, let's find the next stitch. That would be right here. You can kind of see it opens up a little bit, right there. So we're going to do 2 double crochets in that stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook through that stitch, yarn over, pull through, complete the double crochet. Now, here you can see the stitch really well. It's wide open, and the instructions call for 2 double crochets in each stitch. So go ahead and do another double crochet in that same place. Don't go to the next stitch, go in the same place, right here. Complete the double crochet, and if you spread it out, you can see, look at the part that I'm not holding. You can see there are 2 double crochets going into the same space. That's 2 double crochets in one stitch. Now the round instructions call to do this all the way around. So that's the first stitch. The next stitch is going to be right here, right next to it. So let's do 2 double crochets in that next stitch. It's 1 and 2 in the same stitch. You can see it there. Maybe you can see how this is working out, but there's 2 stitches, 2 there and 2 there. 1 in that stitch, 2 in that stitch and 2 in this stitch. Let's continue this all the way around. 1 double crochet in that stitch, 2 double crochets in that stitch. I've made it to the end of the round. I've made all 28 double crochets. In the previous round, which was round 2 on the pattern, this one, we know we had 14 double crochets because it was 13 double crochets in the ring with a chain 3, which made 14. In this round, round 3, the pattern called for 2 double crochets in each stitch. So doubling 14, we should have 28. So let's go ahead and connect our rounds together, and just as we did in the previous round, and just as we'll do at the end of every round, you insert your hook into the top stitch, pull a loop through, slip stitch by pulling this loop through this loop. That completes the round, and we can go through and count our stitches, and we should have 28 if it was done correctly. So that's 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28. I know that's a little hard to see on this video, but just count your own and just make sure you have 28. If you're not sure what you're looking for, if you pull these apart and look, these vertical stitches right here, these are double crochets, and that counts as 1 stitch. So you would just count how many you have all the way around. 1, 2, 3, and so forth. So when I say you should have X amount of stitches at the end of a round, that's what I mean. That's what you count. You could go through and count the V stitches on top. That would be the same thing, but these are a lot harder to see and a lot easier to lose count. So count your vertical posts, the stitches that you made, and make sure you have 28 when you get to the end. If you do, that is the end of round 3, and we can move on to round 4. Let's begin round 4. You can see by the directions, the first thing we do is to chain 3. So let's go ahead and do that. That'll count as our first double crochet. And the next part of the instructions say to do 2 double crochets in the next stitch. Now let's do that part and then stop. So for the first one, the second double crochet is going to go in the same stitch as the chain 3 began from. So basically you're going to double crochet into the base of the chain 3, right there where it began. Complete that double crochet. That gives you 2 double crochets in the same place, both going into that same stitch. Okay, now the next part of round 4 says to do 1 double crochet in the next stitch. So our next stitch will be right here, so let's do just 1 double crochet. Now anytime you see directions and they say around, it means you complete the same set of steps that you just did all the way around. So for this example, round 4 is 2 double crochets in the next stitch, 1 double crochet in the stitch after that. So let's begin that from the beginning. 2 double crochets in the next stitch. 1, 2, that's 2 double crochets in the next stitch. The next part says 1 double crochet in the next stitch. So our next one's right here. So just do 1 double crochet in that one. So you just continue in this manner all the way around. Let's do one more. You do 2 double crochets in the next stitch. And then 1 double crochet in the stitch after that. So let's look at this and see what we have. You can see that we have 2 double crochets right here at the beginning, this one, and they both go into this stitch. And then we have 1 double crochet in this stitch all by itself, and then it repeats. You have 1, 2 that go into this one. Pull this apart so you can see. You can see that both of those stitches, both of those double crochets go into this stitch. So the next one will be 1 double crochet in the next stitch. Let's repeat. We got 2 double crochets, 1, 2 in the next stitch, 1 double crochet in the next stitch. So continue in this manner all the way around. Let's finish up this round. 2 more double crochets in this stitch. And then complete it by doing 1 double crochet in the very last stitch. Okay, this leaves that opening between the last and the first that we talked about. So remember to join it with a slip stitch. And this will complete round 4. And at the end of round 4, you should have 42 stitches. So if you go through and count each one of these vertical posts, it equals 42. Let's begin round 5. Taking a look at the instructions, it says to chain 3 to begin, just as all the other rounds do. Now the next part of round 5, it says to do 2 double crochets in the same stitch. So you'll know from the previous round that we're just going to do a double crochet in the same stitch that the chain 3 started from, and that will count as our 2 double crochets in one stitch. Alright, 2 double crochets going to the same place. The next part of round 5 says to do 1 double crochet in the next 2 stitches. So this is a little different from the last round, because before we were going 2 double crochets, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets, 1 double crochet. So in this one it's going to be 2 double crochets, 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet. Repeat. So 1 double crochet in the next stitch right here, and again 1 double crochet in the next stitch. So let's repeat that. 2 double crochets in the next stitch. You can also call this an increase. So let's increase by doing 1, 2 double crochets. Most patterns will write this out as an increase, so you will see that a lot. So increase, and then 1 double crochet in the next stitch, 1 double crochet in the next stitch. We look right here at the beginning, we have our 2 double crochets, 1, 2 in the same place. Then we have 1 double crochet in the next stitch, then we have 1 double crochet in the next stitch. Then it starts over. You can see that you have 2 double crochets in this stitch, and then 1 double crochet in the next stitch, 1 double crochet in the next stitch. So let's continue in this manner all the way around by doing 2 double crochets in this next stitch. That's 1, 2, and then 1 double crochet in the stitch after that, and again 1 double crochet in the stitch after that. So you have 2 double crochets, 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet. Let's continue this all the way around to finish this round 5. We are almost to the end of round 5 right here. We have our double crochet in the same stitch, so we just need to do 2 more double crochets into the next 2 stitches. So here's 1 into the next stitch, and then again 1 into the stitch after that.